Life, death, resurrection. That is how I would describe my language and literacy journey. The joy and happiness that words brought, the new beautiful thing that I was introduced to as a little girl, the worlds I would get lost in, the adventures I would take, the stories I would bring to life from my own imagination, the incredible world of make-believe and creativity that you could tangibly touch with your own hand. Life, a beautiful and scary experience that every single person goes through. That was what literacy was for me. The life that I wanted, the life that I needed, I craved, with swords and dragons and little mythical creatures just beyond my reach in this plain, boring and dull world. You could say I was a little bit of a reading freak, just a tad bit of a bookworm. My obsession began at a young age. You know, the stories that mum would read to you at night time while you'd go into bed, just, oh, the princess waiting for her Prince Charming, hidden in a castle guarded by a dark, evil creature. Usually a dragon, but they're kind of underrated. Maybe a bit biased. I like them. But in the end, destined to live happily ever after. So I was a sucker for a happy ending, I'm not gonna lie. Always loved those. And although I loved the princess stories and how they were such an integral part of my childhood, I knew that there was a plethora of amazing, wondrous books waiting for me in the wide world. And that is when I was introduced to the world of fantasy at the ripe young age of 9 years old, when my English teacher came into class and brought in her favourite book from when she was a child, called The Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton. Oh, I remember the day like it was yesterday. I remember falling in love with the first chapter. Just the magic, the little creatures of fairies and gnomes, the swirly feeling of being transported to a new realm of life that I had never experienced. The strongest hit from the hardest drug would never hit as hard from hearing that for the first time. I remember begging my mum to get me a coffee from the local Big W, full on crying. I was so happy when I ended up getting that. That was where my love for literature started. That little book of kids finding an enchanted forest that they could frolic and do whatever they liked in. We could tell from an early age that I was, well, I guess I had a knack for English. Always reading a level above everyone else, and my creative pieces always getting high marks. It was always such an ego boost to get those back. Oh, so good. It was honestly the best time, those formative years. And non-fiction, which is a part of English, was not my strongest suit. And as the years started dragging on and English started focusing more on information reports and persuasive essays, I retreated into my books to get that kick that I needed for myself. Reading became my life. Every spare minute that I had always ended up with a book in my hand. Until it didn't anymore. 14, the beginning of my angst years, the beginning of a downward spiral of self-esteem issues and bullying that no one took seriously. Not even books could get me away from it all. So I stopped. My passion, my drive, my obsession, my life ended and passed on, like my childhood innocence. From that grim description, I think it's safe to assume that my teenage years weren't the best. Reading went first. My escape from reality, no longer holding that same amount of safety that I needed, that I craved. The motivation, the drive for one more chapter, no longer existent. So that need for a haven turned to screens, from TV shows, movies, games where I could have some semblance of control. The writing stuck for a while, kicking ferociously until I smothered it down. Ideas still came here and there, a character that would be well beloved, a story so twisty that would give you whiplash, beautiful landscapes in my mind that would never get put down onto paper, never willed into existence. Only trapped in the confines of my ragingly depressed mind. The passion had died when I was 16, when the stress of work and VCE started piling up on me. I had no time to sit and enjoy a good book. My English grades were passable at best. I lost it all. It was dark for a long while. No light in the tunnel for me to grasp onto, the feeling of dirt and worms suffocating me in the grave that I had built for myself. And then, in the spring of 2021, the leech that had been sucking me dry while I was laying in my grave had been ripped away from me, thrown as I could feel the call of my name 6 feet above me, singing a lovely tune, waiting for me, wanting me back, calling me to come back. I graduated high school. It was over. The dark years were done. I had raced towards that dune, towards that finish line. The beautiful noise getting louder and louder until it was thrumming in my ears. The ribbon was just in sight, and as I broke it, I felt like I had broken through hard, unforgivable dirt, bursting through the ground in a shower of dust and roots, as something new had been born again, something anew to the creature that I was once before, a me that had lived through the worst years of our life and survived, a strong person who could get through anything and could help keep her head held high. Books weren't my safe haven anymore. I am safe to say that I am comfortable in myself and how I am now. Although there is that dependency every now and again where I just have that need to run away and hide into the little worlds I would create for myself, but I'm working on that. You know, books are meant to be enjoyed casually, not to be completely obsessed with. They don't need that codependency on the escape, that parasocial relationship you have with characters and stories that you just love to death. I didn't want that. I wanted it to be something I could enjoy, something that could be fun. And that's when the literary world welcomed me with open arms. Life, death, and resurrection. A morbid metaphor, but one that I feel encapsulates my journey through language and literacy as it stands at this moment in time. It is something that is both beautiful and terrifying, but it's something that I'm proud of. Thank you.